Laura Ingraham joins us now. Hi, Laura.
Hi, guys.
Great to see you
What
tonight.
a panel. Look at this.
It's great to have you with us. You know, this Arizona race, and you said you were just listening to the arguments that were brought before the court to extend voting because of the problems that we heard about early this morning.
Yeah, 25% of the tabulation wasn't going according to plan.
That's a lot.
Which is a lot of people. So the reports where people tried to go to other precincts to vote, and then they already were logged as having voted somewhere else, and so their votes didn't count. So that was not allowed by the judge to be extended as far as voting goes. But in Houston, they had other problems. In Houston, they did extend voting, so it was another set of facts. But it just brings to mind, again, this confusion about how votes are cast, when they're counted, when they're allowed to be postmarked. And I'm not saying I'm not in favor of federalizing elections, but every 2 years, we're going to have this problem. But we didn't have this problem really up until, what, 2016 is when we really started having big problems.
The Democrats who look at that and say this is the bill, they go farther for other reasons. But is there a bill in between that says here's a national standard that each state has to meet or something?
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. But I think Florida, I said this when I was with you guys on election night in 2020. Florida is still the model for the country, I think. The coalition of new voters, younger voters, Latino voters. We'll see where African-American voters turn out in Miami-Dade when it's really broken down. But this was a tour de force performance by Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio. And to me, that is the great light for the Republican Party. And they know how to count votes, and they know how to tabulate absentee votes and mail-in ballots. So it can work. And it worked in 2020. And it seems to be working now for the Republicans. And the state has some certainty, which I think is so important for people's belief and trust in the system.
It's exactly right. And what happened in Florida was that they went through the hanging Chad experience, and they said never again.
Right.
We're going to fix this. So they open the ballots as they come in, and then they start processing those ballots. And if you live in Florida, you can trace your ballot.
Right.
On a website. Here's where yours is. We have it. It's been counted. So why haven't they learned that lesson in places like Pennsylvania? I heard Carrie Lake today said, if I'm elected, we're going to clean this thing up and we're going to make sure that it works well.
I think you're going to see new Republicans propose that. And it's incumbent upon them to do this. Again, we talk about trust in elections and belief in democracy. It's so important that people in both parties really have faith in our system. And every 2 years, we're going to have this stagger effect in the election cycle. And I don't think it's good. I really don't. And we know how to do it.
They picked up 4 House races in Florida.
Yep.
Again, Republicans need 5 to take control of the House. We'll see how the rest of the country flows. But it's looking like it could be, anywhere from 15 to 30 seats in the House. But there is a disconnect, it seems, with the Senate races that are really tight, at least as we're looking at them right now. How do you see it?
Well, I think right now I'm watching what Zeldin's going to do in New York, because there could be as many as 5 House seats that flip out on Long Island. That is fascinating. And he might win, he might not win. But if he comes within 5 points of taking it from Hochul, that is really significant. But look, in the end of this cycle, whenever we cast the last votes, it could be, a mixed bag for some of the MAGA candidates. But look, this is the process. So you have to have, run great campaigns, and it's a complex electorate with a lot of issues that are bubbling out there. But I'm telling you, Carrie Lake was discounted. I mean, I was kind of for the other candidate, and she really turned out to run a great race in the end.
And we should point out, they could end up with 3 seats pick up in the Senate. It's early, and we don't know how these races are going to turn out in the end.
And again, Don Bolduc in New Hampshire, keep an eye on that. We don't know what will happen. Hassan is favored to win, but we don't know at this point. He could actually pull it out.
And as you point out, and we've been going through all of these voting rules for all of these states. There's so many states where they don't say we're going to count the mail-in first.
Oh, it's drives
Then
you
we're
crazy.
going to count the day of. Then we're going to go to our provisional ballots. This is the order that we do it in. So when you start getting this vote in, and I'm looking over your shoulder, Laura, and I'm seeing that things seem to be changing around in Ohio right now. That's the kind of thing that people don't. It fosters distrust in the system.
And I think also to the point that you were talking about like philosophy earlier. Look, depending on what O'Day does in Colorado, if he loses by a bigger margin than some of the other more populist conservative candidates, that's something to take into account. If Mike Lee wins by a massive margin in Utah, that's a loss for Mitt Romney. So there's a divide in the party. The populists, I think, have the edge right now. But again, it's a long night ahead.
It is.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.